What's going on, guys, and welcome back. So we took a bit of a break, but we have Atlanta coming up, we have Chicago coming up, so that we have a lot of deck profiles and content coming up for you guys. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thank you to our Patreons. Links for all that if you want to support the channel down below. Your contributions directly go back into giveaways, such as the 4 Ursula Deceiver of All that we are doing this month. Another giveaway that we are going to do is we have some Jafar Whole New World sleeves that to someone who is subscribed and comments on this video, we will give them away. That's pretty much all it is. Subscribe and comment down below. But without further ado, we do have some gameplay and then a deck profile to go over for today. So we're playing Jafar's New World. We get to go first against Emerald Steel. And so going first, let's see, he's probably going to have like an Ursula. So Whole New World isn't something you really want in your early hand here. Even Jafar, like, especially if he's on discard, it's going to be ink or get rid of. I want to get some early plays and establish board presence and be able to deal with him a little bit more than I want to prioritize the Whole New World combo line. Yes, it's super important. Yes, it's super good. But again, we don't necessarily want to go for it. At least not early on here. So we're going to ink Tinkerbell and go for Robin Hood. We have our Blue Fairy, we have a Smee. Another Robin Hood can easily become ink if we need to. And our opponent develops his own Robin Hood. We draw a Friends on the other side. So let's go ahead and put down our Fairy so that we can get a draw off of our big Robin Hood next turn. Again, we can ink the Smee if we need to, but we'll see what we draw for turn. If he does come down here with a Ursula, that's actually going to be very unfortunate because, well, now we have Friends and Zeus. However, Bucky comes down. So we're on Bucky, or we're not on, we're against Bucky discard. I'm not leaning aggro now because of the matchup, so we're going to go for the Jafar too, who's going to net us a draw. The Blue Fairy actually draws us into a Whole New World also, which is going to be very helpful. So we can take out his Robin Hood since he did quest. And the morph comes down here and I'm like, okay, so do we Whole New World it? Like, what truly hurts? I'm like, there's not a whole lot here that actually hurts. Tinkerbell being probably the most. Just because if we quest with our Robin Hood, or Sing in that case, I didn't necessarily want to get rid of my little Jafar. So that's why we Sing, and then we could go ahead and play our Jafar. And Tinkerbell, like I said, is what hurts the most here. And we just kind of play into it because, you know, there's so many other things that could potentially come down, such as a sad beast. So once that comes down, I'm like, okay, we can go ahead, easily discard the Robin Hood here. We have the Zeus that clears the beast. So now we have, just to see what our opponent decides to do, we have the Jafar, we have the Fairy, we have Robin Hood. We both have 3 in hand. Grab your swords, probably the best thing he could have had there. He sings it. We draw another Whole New World, which is unfortunate. We're going to sing the Zeus, however, clear the beast, and throw down Jafar. So I feel like we're in a pretty good spot here. We're slightly ahead on lore. We can sing Whole New World next turn. We're ahead on our opponent on board presence. So he comes down with his own Robin Hood, and we have to get rid of a Whole New World. So we have 1 left in hand. Now it's not quite as simple. So we're going to go Rabbit instead and draw into a card. We hit Robin Hood, and I hold it in my hand because I want to have a discard outlet if needed. We quest with Jafar because he's not going to be able to take it out with the Robin Hood like he would our Robin Hood. Ideally, he quests or does something with his, and we would have used the Jafar into Robin Hood into Robin Hood, get a draw and 2 lore. Again, he obviously played the Zeus, so that's a little unfortunate, but it is what happens. So we play Captain Hook, and then again, we need that Robin Hood in our hand, kind of as like a, if he plays a Floodborn, we don't want to discard our Whole New World. So we're going to pass turn. At this point, we could have potentially did the Rabbit, but at the same time, Rabbit only has the 2 attack, so that wasn't going to help us out a whole lot. Tinkerbell comes down, so again, we had to discard a card and puts a few damage on everything. But more importantly, it gives him another big body that can deal with our board pretty effectively. So we do hit friends on the other side, which is going to be nice. We get a few more draws. To see what we're going to do here first, we draw 2. We play our Jafar that we just crashed one, ink the fairy, and then we can go ahead and take out Robin Hood for Robin Hood. Again, gain 2 lore, and we know we're going to draw a card, so that's why I didn't mind playing out and inking the fairy and that stuff ahead of time. He could potentially... well, Tinkerbell coming down is just unfortunate again, so now we got 2 Tinkerbells to deal with. But the other Tinkerbell can take out Rabbit if he wanted and put 2 damage on Jafar. Again, not that that's going to do a ton, but we can go ahead, draw a card, and we draw our Jafar. So that actually worked out really, really well. So we can shift our Jafar, but we don't want to sing Whole New World here because we just give our opponent too much advantage, right? Like, the key to this deck is don't just like let your opponent win because you wield them. You want to be able to wield them and win that turn and be done with it. So we're going to ink the Pinocchio, or not the Pinocchio, the Smash, play the Whole New World, get 14, and then we can play Whole New World once again. So then, again, like, you want to win that turn. You don't want to put your opponent on a spot where all of a sudden they got 7 new cards to play with, 8 if you count the draw for turn. So we're against Hyper Aggro this time. Again, not that I'm necessarily worried about Bare Necessities. However, we don't want these high-cost, uninkable cards. I want to get some bodies on board to be able to deal with my opponent's board presence. Keeping the friends was maybe debatable. Maybe we should have went for more characters. However, we do hit Double Smee and Captain Hook, so we hit some early-cost players. We're able to throw down the Hook, which is going to be very, very helpful in this matchup. Just being able to one-shot pretty much all of his bodyguard characters, such as Baloo, Simba, and anything like that. We get Smash, and you might say, why ink that? Well, I want the board presence. I don't want to lose a turn by casting a card, especially because, like, with Baloo, he's going to gain 2 lore on it. So I'd rather have the board presence of, like, Smees and Captain Hook. We draw the Robin Hood. Again, we want to get these lower cost characters out. So sitting pretty good. We get to go up to 4. And now, at this point, I'm like, okay, let's expect a Baloo here, right? Like, quest, Baloo. Then he does that. I'm like, okay, he's bouncing it because obviously you're going to protect your combo that way. Takes out our Captain Hook, so that was actually pretty good on his part. Get rid of our challenger when he's not able to challenge. We quest for 4, and now we can go ahead and just go Fox for Fox and put our aggro opponent kind of in a weird spot because now we're at 8, he's at 2, and we're just kind of ahead on our board. So the Baloo comes down here, and then the Lilo makes her appearance back out for us. Drawing into Fox here is also just very, very strong because we can go ahead and take out the Baloo. He is going to get the lore to be able to catch up to us, but now we can bounce the Smee, protect him a little bit, or we can ink him, whatever we decide to do. We're going to get rid of the Jafar, though, and then recast the Smee. So sitting with Fox Smee on board, I'm feeling pretty good, especially with the cards in our hand. A second copy of Baloo comes out, which is unfortunate because our opponent can just use it to deal with or to help get those 2 extra lore very quickly. However, we can Smee take it out. We're going to get 1 damage on Smee at the end step, and then the Fox go ahead and take out the Lilo. We did it that way because otherwise Smee would have 2, and then we'd get 1 less turn of questing. And just in case it matters, I wanted that extra turn of questing. So he comes down with the Arthur Pascal, which is actually pretty good. However, we drew along came Zeus. We have the time there where we can sing, get some advantage, get a couple cards, and then Smee again gets us to a 10-10 game. So Rabbit comes down, draw a card, and Pascal can quest. Not only are we able to throw our Jafar down and basically threaten lethal here, we can go ahead quest up to 15. Our opponent has to do something about our board, even though the Smee's gone. We have Whole New World, which again, he doesn't know that. But against this deck, at this point, you almost have to assume that they have it. So what could he do even? I don't know. I mean, you could probably rabbit into fox, take them both out, draw a card. I did just miss if he inked there, but if he didn't ink, you could ink Yzma, get rid of the Jafar. That would probably be the only play line here. Again, I missed that if he inked or not there, but if he did, well, then he loses. If he didn't, Yzma, I think, is the only out that he would be able to play. So we show the other Jafar, play the whole new world, and we get another win. Lastly, we have Ruby Amethyst, and then we'll get into the full deck list. So for once, literally like the only time this has ever happened, we get to go first in all 3 replays, which honestly, it just felt really, really nice. So against Ruby Amethyst, I'm like, this one especially, we want to try to set ourselves up with like shift into Jafar turn 5. Ideally, if you can have Robin Hood before that too. And then if you can whole new world into a whole new world, gain like 14 in 1 turn. So ideally, if we can get 6 lore in our first 4 turns, 4 to 5 turns, turn 5 Jafar, sing whole new world right away, and then have Robin Hood to sing the other whole new world, get that remaining 14. That would be the ideal scenario. We want to try to win before Be Prepared can come down. So we're going to go ahead here. We need some lower cost cards. We have a bunch of 2s, which isn't necessarily helpful. I want to keep the 1 fairy and the other Jafar. Again, you might say, well, if you're trying to reach for Robin Hood, why wouldn't you go for more cards? Well, at the same time, we want to reach for Robin Hood, but we don't want to give up everything, because I actually have a decent hand, and I don't want to lose my entire hand trying to hope that I get other cards. So we set up the fairy early, because unless he has Surfer Mini or Maui's Fishhook, she's evasive and she's going to just stick around for a while. And that couple lore here every turn does actually help. We hit another blue fairy, and I was really debating, I'm like, do I throw a second fairy down? Unfortunately, we're needing ink in our hand though, so we go ahead and we draw there, get the couple extra cards, which does set us up for next turn. Quest with the fairy because we want that 1 lore once again. Our opponent forgets to quest with the Cusco. We'll see if that 1 matters and gets his Madam Fox. Madam M Fox, we ink our Captain Hook, throw the rabbit down, get another draw. Now we have our little Robin Hood. We're not on curve though to play it out how we wanted to, so that is a little concerning. And we're going to have to just keep that in the back of our mind. Our opponent's trying to draw a bunch because he wants to be able to just board wipe us when the time arises. So we do hit Jafar. We're just 1 turn back. However, we're also not going to be able to do 2 in 1 turn the way we would like to. But if our opponent inks here, he goes to 5, which means we have 2 turns actually, and that's truly what we need. Even if you have to play, say like shift your Jafar like the first replay and not do anything with it, so that way you can whole new world sing it, and then you can hard cast a second whole new world if you need to. But the Jafar Robin Hood interaction is just really nice when you have both and you can sing it twice, and then even potentially hard cast it if you waited that 3rd turn. Our opponent comes down now with the Olaf. I think he's kind of expecting a whole new world to drop, so he tried to dump some of his hand. He didn't want to challenge into our rabbit and give us an extra card, just in case we don't have what we need. So he's going to quest, and get a few there. We hit little Jafar, so now I'm like, okay, we can go ahead, shift. Now draw off our fairy. We got 2 little Jafars. We don't need that. We can get rid of 1 of those easy enough. Quest. Put him on You Better Do Something About It. And I didn't want a whole new world here because that would put us at 14. But 14 doesn't win the game, and I don't want our opponent to get something that'll dig him out of the scenario. Fishhook would get him out because he could give the Fox a vase. Well, he would need what? Fishhook plus crab to get out of that, which there's obviously a crab. But I guess Fishhook, you got to pay the ink. So yeah, I don't think there's really any scenario, I guess, where he would have been able to get out of that and get rid of the Jafar in that 1 turn. At least not with the ink he had. He is able to knock our board down quite a bit, though, which, again, I was completely okay with. So it's 7-4. We have Whole New World, which puts us to 14. 15 with the blue fairy. And then, so we're sitting at 15. We can sing, or then hardcast if we draw into a Whole New World. So let's ink a card there. Debated too on like Quest with Blue Fairy, Yzma, but I'm like, okay, he wouldn't be exerted then, and then you don't get the 2 lore anyway, so let's not Yzma there. And obviously you can't sing the Whole New World first because, well, you wouldn't have Yzma in your hand. So we go ahead, let the wheel spin, and lo and behold, we miss. We don't have the card we need. But we do hit a friend, so we can get 2 more there. We have another copy of friend, so if we didn't put that blue fairy down, we could have played another friends, went to 19, which would put us in a really good spot too, because you'd have to deal with both evasives. Pretty much put them in a you have to have be prepared scenario. So I mean, there's that. However, even like this, if he has be prepared, he still has to play it. Like, we have 3 evasives. He has to do something to deal with it, and he just cannot. So even if he be prepared's there, like, odds are our hand is going to be able to continue to put out characters to plug away at those remaining 3 lore. So that's why we played maybe a little greedier than you would have liked. So let's go ahead and jump on into the deck profile. As you can see here, it's about $280 for this deck list, which right off the top, you know that means we're not playing Sad Beast. I don't dislike Beast because he's a 5, another card to sing Whole New World. He can get the +4, which is helpful, and he also can obviously draw you cards and get you advantage. But budget reasons, and I don't think he's necessarily necessary. Also, he doesn't like work with Jafar, he just works to get you crazy advantage. 13 uninkable cards. We were playing 4 Captain Hook, 4 Robin Hood as our 1-drops, the 4 Blue Fairy, who also draws you cards when you play Floodborn characters, 2 Pinocchio to exert our opponent's board, 4 Jafar Royal Vizier, 4 Smee, so we can go a little aggro if we need to. Also, just the 3/3 is very powerful, especially when you have the Captain Hook, so he does not self-harm himself. 4 Foxes. You may notice no snakes. I just felt like snake really didn't contribute to what I was trying to do at all with the deck. 2 Benja for item decks. 4 Merlin Rabbits because just card draw. 3 Dreadnoughts. I was on 4 initially, and we actually weren't really doing much with Rabbit, but Rabbit made his way back in, and then again, 3 Dreadnoughts has been pretty good. I like the 4 2-cost Jafars and him, so we got 7 shifters to get into our big Jafar. 4 Robin Hood cards, just really, really strong. 2 Yzma, the being able to like sing your Whole New World and then just potentially even Yzma and shuffle one of your characters back and draw 2 more to get them 2 more lore is just really, really strong. Debated taking 2 Tinkerbells out and playing 4 Yzma, but I like the 2-2 split at the end of the day. Also, the Jafar, obviously he's the 4 of. He's the main man of the deck. I'm kind of surprised he's only $10. I thought he'd be a little bit higher. Not like crazy high, but a little bit more than that. We did end up playing the 2 Smash. It just really helps like versus discard with the Ursula, Steel Song with the Ariel, with the Queen. Queen can be a big pain, or just finishing off other characters in general. And then the 11 songs. Obviously your 4 friends and your 4 whole new worlds, but we did play 1 Grab Your Swords and 2 Along Came Zeus, just for dealing with those opponents' boards and their characters and cards. So this is the deck. Link is down below for it. Don't forget, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for the support. And until next time, take care.